Hello everyone. I thought I'd do a quick video on security breaches / access violations in Content Manager. I'll demonstrate myself triggering some of those and then some possible solutions. So I'm not going to dictate and say this is what you have to do in your environment because everyone's environment is different. But hopefully you can take these learnings, apply it to your environment and prevent them from occurring in the future. And sometimes there's some misconception that a security breach or an access violation means you've exposed all your records to people who shouldn't see them. It's not necessarily the case, but I'll show you now. So I've got a folder in Content Manager and I'm just observing. I've got some security and some access controls set. So it's locked down to the finance subsection. It's got an unclassified security level. So I'm going to change to the assignee. So the three things that can cause it, well, actually there's five, but it's when you change either the owner, home, and assignee, or you change the security or the access controls, and the security caveats or the security levels. So changing one of those can trigger off a security breach or an access violation. So I'll show you the assignee, owner, and home, and then I'll show you the changing the security and the access controls. So this applies to all three. But I'm just going to pick assignee for the purpose of the demo. So I'll change that to the authority and hit OK, and ta-da, you get a message like this. Now I can hit OK as an admin, and that will actually save the record, and then you'll get a access violation, and you might get an email and panic stations. But all it's meaning is, if I'm assigning this record to the authority, it's saying that assignee doesn't have access to the record. Now, even though it's not a person logging into Content Manager and accessing the record, it's just saying there's a conflict between the two. Now, if I check the authority and check the profile, it's got the unclassified security level, so that's sweet. However, it's probably not a part of the finance subsection, and I'm not going to add the authority to the finance subsection. The authority is our main head organization, because you might think, well, I'll just add it to the finance subsection, and due to the way the access controls work in that hierarchical structure, that should do it. But does that mean I have to add the authority to every single potential organization or group in the system? No. In my particular case, I'm okay with giving this bypass access controls because I'm happy for that location to be the assignee of any record in the system. So what I will do is bypass all access controls. It won't work with the view one, but I won't get into that now. And now let's hit OK. Boom, fixed. Now, just to recap, so it can happen when you change the owner, home, and assignee, and it can also happen if you change the security level or security levels, caveats, or the access controls. Now, in this case, let's update, and actually let's add a security caveat. Let's just do medical and confidence and hit OK, and hit OK. And I'm going to get an error this time as well. So that's because if I'm locking the record down to medical and confidence, any of the owner, home, or assignee needs that caveat. So if I'm saying, cool, I'm happy for the authority to be an assignee of any record in the system that's got that medical in confidence caveat, then I just need to add that caveat to the authority. So I'll do that, hit OK, and hit OK. OK, let's see what happens now. Boom, no security breach. A lot of times what I find is your head organization, so the name of your organization really, a lot of times people will try and assign records and just make that the owner, and that's makes sense. It's the owner of the records, and they get security breaches. And it's because they're trying to assign, this record has this caveat, this record has this access controls, and typically all you need to do was on that organization, give it bypass view access controls and give it the necessary caveats and levels. And as I said, it doesn't mean that you're giving people access to records they shouldn't see. You're just saying that I'm okay for this record to be an owner of records that have these access controls. So you're not necessarily opening up access to records. One thing to pay attention to, because it's quite common, is, and I've seen it in many environments, that the security breach or the access violation gets triggered on record creation. And it's typically a combination of the record type settings or the system options. So on the record type, pay attention to the default tab, what you've got set as the owner, home, and assignee, and what you've got set on the default record access. And you also need to pay attention to what's set on the contacts tab in the system options. A lot of time it's the assignee that triggers it. And even the solution that I demonstrated in terms of giving the location, the access controls, and the necessary security, that might not be the solution. It might be actually setting these up correctly, so it's not setting the wrong assignee. And a lot of times people get confused, and this can probably be in another video, but assignees more for hard copy records. You're saying this physical hard copy record goes to this person, whereas you're probably okay with setting the assignee to your organisation or your business unit. It's not actually going to an individual person, but maybe I can cover that off in another video. But that's pretty much it for security breaches and access violations. If there's any other videos you want to make, if there's a certain problem you're facing with Content Manager, just hit me up and I'll make a video on it and I'll show you how to solve it. So yeah, have fun.